is bringing in new visions. And there's the birth of many new things as we are experiencing worldwide now, finding new ways of being and bringing the highest of being in. And I invite the element of fire, which is about co-creation, cooperation, community. And that's what we are here for, building community. And I invite the waters of the world in, and all the swimming ones, so that we can dive deep and listen and take the teachings of the medicines to heart. And I invite our ancestors in fully, and the standing ones in the Stone Nation, and divine masculine and divine feminine, Mother Earth and Father Sky. And of course, the place within, where our hearts are one with one another, all across the world. We are all in service to the sacred, and each of us are medicine people who are contributing to changing the consciousness of the planet of this time, and how we act and react and enact with all our relations. So I want us to all be an act of prayer, of being present, each of us finding a way to bring new traditions in, because we are feeding the future from this point. And without further ado, I'm going to invite all these wonderful people tonight. Robin Youngblood is first up with Race and Belonging, the Wheel of Mastery. My beloved teacher, thank you so much. Welcome. And next up is Peter van der Westhuizen with the 3 levels of healing. And then we'll have Laura Alex, who will be speaking the language of light to us. And then we'll have some wonderful music from Krellen. And then we're going to move on to Tessa Ashbury, the Medicine of Dreams. Conway Lotter, my wonderful brother, Communities of Kindness. And Annika will be speaking on presence. And then Callan will be bringing us some beautiful music again. And after that, Ruth Earhart, Peace on Earth begins at birth. Thank you so much for that. And last but not least, Valentina Lear, Mrs. Love, Making Love to the Unknown. And then I'll be doing a closing play. So without further ado, our first speaker this evening is Robin Youngblood. Thank you so much for joining us, and unmute yourself. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you so much. I am so glad to be with you all tonight. As you all know, South Africa is family to me, and I love you all, as I do everybody else around the world. I feel very privileged to be able to speak tonight. I wanted to talk a bit tonight about a particular form of the medicine wheel. As we all know, there are many ways that the medicine wheel can be used. And medicine wheels have been used all over the world. As a matter of fact, the oldest one ever discovered was discovered by Michael Tellinger in South Africa, Adam's calendar. So the way that medicine wheels developed is that the people in a particular landscape observed what was happening. The seasons, spring, summer, fall, winter, all of that, the ages of humankind from birth to death, the hunting seasons, the gathering seasons, etc. And then they began to apply the other aspects of mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. In this particular medicine wheel, I'll screen share in a minute. It's about belonging, generosity, mastery, independence. And we all need all of the aspects of the medicine wheel. So I'm going to pop this up on my screen now, provided I can grab it really quickly here. And this particular one shows us about belonging. You know, in many cultures all around the world, systemic racism has been embedded, mostly by colonization and the people who decided that they needed to be in control and power. It's destroyed our sense of belonging. We don't seem to know anymore where we belong. And when we can create family now, it's no longer about a particular tribe, a particular culture, a particular color. It is about what a dear elder of mine taught as tribes of affinity. How do we discern where we belong? Well, it's because of our belief systems. Belief systems are rapidly changing in today's world, and they need to. And we're moving, we're changing cultures, tribes, our sense of belonging. Affinity is very important to us. And I would really encourage us, as a takeaway from this particular presentation, to really examine ourselves. What are our belief systems? How are we connected to others? How do we use those connections to co-create a new and better world for all of us? It's no longer about participating in disbelonging, disenfranchising others. It's about being inclusive. So when we do that, we have to kind of look across the medicine wheel to independence. And frankly, I change that word these days to interdependence. We are independent. We all have our own unique gifts and talents and skills to give to the world. Well, first to ourselves, then to our families and our neighbors and our communities, our nations and the world, okay? And those are wonderful things. However, one of the ancient values that I think we're trying to reclaim right now is where's the line between independence and interdependence? Yes, I have all these things. I can use them selfishly, or I can use them for my tribe of affinity. I can use them for our nations. I can use them to give to the world. There are many controversies going on in our world today. Masks, no masks, gator haters, all the different things that we have going on today. And I'm not going to get into those controversies. And I've actually just spent a week on Facebook being attacked because I won't take part in those controversies because they aren't helpful. They don't help us do anything to co-create a better world. So for me, I have to draw back. I have to say, all right, I have these particular skills and gifts. How can I use them as a contribution to help my entire world family? And I think that we come from a much better perspective if we don't draw ourselves into the place of, I am a free individual and I get to do whatever the heck I want. It's not about that anymore. Yes, we have done that. And yes, we needed to in various times in our lives. But now it's about being inclusive, being mutual, and being in service to the greater good. So that's East and West. If we look at the South, it's the place of mastery. Mastery is, who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose here? How do I fulfill that purpose? Which goes back to the last two things we've just been talking about. If we move from the place of our own mastery, doing our own work, fulfilling our own responsibilities and accountability, and move from that place, we will come to the place of generosity. Generosity isn't about caretaking others. It's not about going beyond our boundaries and giving up and allowing others to walk all over us. It's not that. Generosity is the place of, I know who I am. I know what I have to offer. I know where I belong. And this is my choice to give to the best in service for all. And when we do that, we will birth this new earth. We are already doing it. The baby's in the birth canal right now. The contractions are very strong right now. And the contractions are the part of all of us that doesn't want change. But that change is going to happen. This baby is on its way. We can't stop it. So the very best place that we can be right now is to go into our belonging, to ask ourselves time and again, in each and every moment, where do I belong? How do I serve? What is it that I can serve with? What is my purpose and passion? So thank you very much. And I return it to you, Taz, and bless everyone. I hope to see you all soon. Aho.
Aho, Robin. Thank you so much for your sharing. I deeply appreciate your medicine with us and your medicine in my life. You have been one of the big shifters in my heart, and I am deeply, deeply grateful to you for the work that you do in the world. Thank you. I love you. Lovely. And we're now going to have the amazing Pieter van der Westhuizen, a man that I really deeply value for his own particular medicine and the space of integrity that he comes from. Thank you so much, Pieter. Away, it's your turn.
Thank you, Tess. And phew, welcome everyone to this wild full moon evening. It's a very auspicious time for me, and not only because it's a full moon and we've got a lunar eclipse on the way and things like that, but also because tomorrow is my birthday. So as Robin was speaking about the birth canal, the contractions already happening, yeah, it felt very appropriate. There's a tremendous surge of energy going on, and it's been a day of unexpected surprises. So with the theme of the summit, Medicine for Our Times, and the topic that I've chosen tonight being 3 levels of healing, I reflect back on 27 years of practice as a health practitioner. And that with each of these 3 levels, there's a go-to for me. There's something special with each of these 3 levels that I'd like to share with you tonight. And the first one is to do with the physical level. So when a client comes to see me, they come for one of a number of reasons. Sometimes it's a physical issue. They, for example, might have recurring bladder infection, or they might have high blood pressure, something along those lines. And that's when I turn to actually an ancient system, despite having learned all sorts of modern methods along the way and come to know many natural medicines. I revert to an ancient system, and that is a system of energetics. And this ancient system touches in on nature. If we look out at the weather outside, well, it happens to be nighttime now, but any given day, we can describe the weather in terms of hot or cold, damp or dry, windy or still. And it's these same energies that weave in amongst us as humans. Each of us has a basic temperament. And those temperaments have been known for thousands of years in traditional Chinese medicine, in Ayurveda, traditional Greek medicine, and Unani Tib. And yeah, so each of us has a basic temperament. We could be described in terms of hot or cold. Sometimes see that you get into the bed at night and your partner might be boiling hot and you might need socks on, that sort of a thing, or vice versa. Damp or dry. And so let's take the example of someone who comes into the consultation room, and I'm just fiddling with my screen here. I've got a huge notice kind of getting an, there we go, what a relief. Someone comes into the consultation room and they've got high blood pressure, they've got a red face, they get palpitations, battling to sleep at night. These are all symptoms of too much heat and too much dryness in combination. And usually if I start questioning that person, I'm going to find out that, in fact, they're exacerbating their symptoms by eating and drinking things that are heating and drying them. For example, coffee. Coffee has the long-lasting heating and drying effect. 20 hours after a cup of coffee, it will still have an effect. Any water you take in will be expelled. So that's very strongly heating and drying and long-lasting. They might be drinking alcohol, for example, also heating and drying. They might be eating rich or spicy foods, perhaps meat. And so usually just by making some changes to the diet, they can already come off the boil, relax that blood pressure, get rid of the bloodshot eyes and the red face, calm down. And so this system is immensely valuable. And as a herbalist, I was first trained with Western herbalism, and I used to have ringing ears, tinnitus, and it drove me berserk. My personality, I found that I was getting more and more irritable. I was feeling depressed, somewhere between irritable and anxious and depressed, becoming short with my children. And Western herbalism had no answer for me as to what to do. Try this, try that, nothing was working. And then when I turned to the system of energetics, it told me your kidneys are too dry. You need to stop doing X, Y, and Z. Stop the things that are drying you and do the things that are moistening. Change to these foods, change to these herbs. And so, yeah, at the physical level, this system of energetics is something that is, to me, very, very precious. And very often, simply by looking at someone, we can ascertain what their temperament is, where the imbalance is, and that sort of a thing. Now, that same person that had that high blood pressure would also be, along with that, almost certainly experiencing quite a lot of anger, possibly anxiety, as I said, insomnia. And so it is that when there's a recurring or a very deep chronic pattern of illness in a person and it doesn't want to go away with some simple measures, then we look more deeply and we see that there's a mental emotional pattern. We might see that sitting behind the recurring bladder infections are annoyance with the partner, or that that blood pressure is because you're boiling with rage, this sort of a thing. And so then we need to address the mental emotional. And this is where I'm delighted to have access to a system called psychirodology. For many years, I trained as an iridologist, worked as an iridologist, looking into thousands of eyes. And I got to see fairly soon that the mental emotional pattern is also revealed in the eyes. I got to see that there are, in fact, 16 different iris types. And so by looking at someone's eyes, you can make out what their basic personality type is. And you can also see what their specific mental emotional issues are. So it's very revealing to look into someone's eyes. There's a whole host of information there. And yeah, this is something that's tremendously valuable in helping to guide the person then. What do you do about this issue, in terms of how your own personality is going to respond? Where do we go from here? And then why the third level of healing? Now, as you've gathered, the first level is the physical, the second is the mental, emotional, and the third is the spiritual. And I feel that there's a very strong theme that's going to be weaving through the evening, which really comes back down to the spiritual, because we might be in excellent physical health. We might have our stuff together mentally and emotionally. But unless we've got peace, unless we've got presence, what do we have, really? Where's the joy? Where's the sweetness? And even as I say that, I'm bringing myself to a state of greater peace and presence. And so I'd like to share with you my take on that third level, the spiritual. There's a particular approach when the seas are rough, when the waves are thrashing about and the wind is howling and the foam is every which way. We need ways of centering ourselves. And this is where you could refer to something like the 4 directions, calling in the directions, and in fact the 7 directions I know are very often used in the medicine tribe and the medicine systems. And so we could call in the directions, we could smudge, white sage, absolutely love that, very fortifying, very grounding. We could use Palo Santo, frankincense, or copal. And these are beautiful ways of just grounding, of centering us. Singing is another way, connecting to our voice, becoming present, singing something that lifts us up, that lifts our spirits. And so these are ways that when that boat is rocking and the waves are tossing us about, of helping us to get into a safe harbor, calm the seas. And what I'd like to speak about with this third level is where do we go from there? Let's say the seas are now calm. We're sitting in our lounge, for example, as I am now. And that's when I like to bring in something that I call the triple anchor method. And I'd like to do an exercise, and I invite you to join me with this triple anchor method. And I'm going to take myself through that. And the first is to look at your posture. If you're crumpled or relaxed, then it's an invitation to anxiety or despair. So the first thing is to do something along the lines of the Alexander technique. For example, neck free, head forward and upward, back lengthening and widening, chest and belly soft and relaxed, forming an I or a number 1, bringing us back to unity, the start of unity. As an addendum to that posture, very good idea is to then also come to the Namaste pose or posture. Bring the hands together, let the yin and the yang connect, bring oneness. And so now with this posture, I have an invitation to life, really. It's an invitation to go deeper within. The storm has settled. I'm starting to find myself. I've come into this present moment. The next aspect of this triple anchor method, second anchor, is breathing. And there it's a relief. Actually start with an out breath. Get all that stale air out. Pause for a moment. And then take an in breath, followed by another out breath. And I'm leading with the belly. So the belly out with that out breath, chest out, and then belly in and chest in. And I find that this combination of having my posture and breathing is already a beautiful set of anchors. And then I go for the third of that triple anchor method. And to me, it's the jewel in the crown. It's the most precious of them all. And it's to look at where I'm putting the spotlight of my awareness. Where is my attention? That's very important. The directive here, or the teaching here, is to shine that within, to bring it to the spiritual heart, to come to the feeling of I within, to come to my awareness, to come to presence. And if it's something that I've been practicing, then it's fairly easy to find presence. So whether we meditate, when we call in the 7 directions, it's that last direction, it's within. It's the heart that is everywhere. It's what we refer to as Great Spirit. We have many names for that. And so as I come into presence, I hold that presence for as long as I can. And I find that I've gone from doing to being. And then there's a little method that my teacher, Ramana Maharshi, taught. And that is, if I find that a thought comes up to distract me, as it often will, because we're so in the habit of thinking. And any thought, whether it's mundane or whether it's profound, thought comes up and boom, knocks me off my center, gets me chundering along, back into effect, back into doing. Then I follow this little 3-step method. Firstly, I say, there's a thought. Phew. And then I ask a question and I say, to whom is that thought? And the answer comes quite naturally, or to me. And then there's one more question. And that question is, who am I? And with that, who am I don't then go into more thoughts. Am I a man? Am I a woman? Am I this? Am I that? With that question, who am I come back to the feeling of I within. It brings me back to presence, back to center. And I found that in my life, having gone through many challenges, as we all are, we're living in challenging times, hence the need for medicine for these times. This practice is so profound because it keeps dropping me out of thought, relentlessly dropping me out of thought, coming back to presence with that simple question, who am I? And then feeling into the I within. And so, thank you for listening. I send you all much love and blessings. Aho.
Thank you so much, Peter, for your 3 levels of healings and the teachings that are there. I certainly will apply them. I most appreciate your medicine. Thank you for that. Next up is a topic that I'm really interested in because I've seen it appearing over the last couple of years, and that is the language of light. Laura Alexandra will be leading us in giving us teachings on this. Welcome, Laura. It's over to you.
Good evening, Tess, and thank you so much for the beautiful opening this evening and for the beautiful shares from Robin and Peter. My name is Laura, and it's an absolute honor to have this opportunity to share my gift of light with you all tonight. I'm sure that many of you have heard of Dr. Emoto and his work in concluding that sound is a vibration and can be used as a form of healing energy. And even our thoughts emit vibrations at frequencies that have the power to create and to heal. And to understand vibration and frequency, we need to understand that everything is energy. Sound is a potent and powerful energy that I'm very passionate about, from the sounds of creation to the frequencies of our bodies. Sound is a healing tool, and of course, the frequency of love and light. From my own personal experience, the language of light is multidimensional. It's a form of communication that connects those who channel the light, like myself, and those that are receiving it as higher states of divine consciousness. It has facilitated my own light activation in igniting my soul memory of remembering who I am and assisting me on my own personal journey through one of the toughest experiences of my life. It was during that experience that this gift opened up within me. One morning I just woke up and started speaking this beautiful language, and intuitively I just knew that it was from the stars. I'm still very much in the process of retrieving and receiving myself and remembering the wisdom that is already within my soul and the unfolding of this beautiful gift. The language that I speak is galactic in nature, and it aligns with the frequency of pure love and light, and allows those that are receiving the divine codes of light the opportunity to see, to hear, and to feel in a form that is based on their own unique resonance. We are multidimensional beings and feel layers of our own soul awareness. We are all fluent in the language of light on a subconscious level, as the language is of our soul. I work very closely with the star beings that I'm connected to, my guides, my celestial parents, and I channel these deeply layered transmissions of information that are energetically pure in divine intention that assist us all, including all life forms and our divine mother. It's an honor, and I'm humbled to weave in the light and love as I anchor the divine messages and prayers in my heart here on the earth plane, so graciously gifted from above. Now is a time where more and more of us are being called to be of higher service and are starting to remember our gifts. We are able to vibrate at a frequency of love, and we are here to hold the knowingness of who we are and to remember and to move the collective consciousness into higher frequencies, to allow our hearts to open and for our light to shine in the midst of all that is currently folding through our gifts, our prayers, and through meditation. The work that I'm being called to do is greater than my own journey, and I believe that this is true, not just for myself, but for so many of us that are stepping forward during this time. I have asked to be the light, to share the light so that others may see, and it's an absolute honor for me to share a beautiful channeling with you this evening. Simply observe how you feel and what arises within you, and you may feel it immediately, and it also may take some time for it to integrate over the next couple of days or weeks. It's all perfect. I invite you to close your eyes and to take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, allow yourself to soften and to move into your heart center and to listen with your soul. Jemasentre megashi tiriwahatere he. Unusukuruachere mesetere kihini lineachere megehata. Usunkuruachere misi injirikisi tiriwahatere me alanaha chikaraha. Jomposo churomoko so oloha araki inechisi chibrimi karanaha che. Yamasachere mazichiri ki alanazenchiri makasa tirewahate. Ionkoro sotro bogoho alanahi injirebesechiri makasatra amaha. Yesentre magahi inji basitre mehe ankaraha. Noyo sokoro waha a ichi wangalanahi embo shotro mogase chirimahate he. Choto yelanamaha a hikirinihi inji. Besechiri waha akalanaha imbe alanachi wakaha. Ezochro mosoto ho alanahi inji bakate alanaha. Iete alanazim paraki imichiri wata sanchiri magaha lanachi. Bahi chereme alanazakara machichiwa hate. Izichiriwa baki inalahal la masetra maha inkoyinaha chiribi. Biesechiriwa kaha. Ayine alanachiwa karama a inchiba kasechiriwa taha. Iesentri bagaha inchiwa kaha yine. Lasachiwa hakaramaha. Iesentri maha. Keke alanaha imbichiwaha alachi. Zeshiwaha alanai anaka ahima alanachi. Ozoko hipa hite, ajete sekeremi alana sanchi wahate he, libesechi wagaha impichi limaha inkoyina alana chipate, jesete kahe aha, uyukuru mukuase alana he imbiko sochiri wahate, maha iniko alana ha imbichiri kisi, yezeche ahate he, aki impi onkoyina laha apachi wahate, Mashete asichiri miki alanazanchi kawaha zachiri wata. Eyesenchi maha inchi kalanahi imbisechi wahate. Majete se mahachiki alawakaranaha inchi mazatrehe. Makahi ende ayato hosoko yene la makachi. Ahiache abasachiri maha ankuhila anachimaki ate. Thank you. Thank you for being open. Thank you for listening. And thank you, my sister Michelle, for birthing this beautiful summit. I send much love to you all. It's an honor. and blessing to be here this evening. Aho.
Wow, Laura, thank you for that enormous gift that was channeled through you. Deep appreciation to your gift to the world and for being a beautiful open channel, the language of light. We're going to now move into another language of light and love and wonder. And as Peter said, the vibrations. We're now going to call on Krallen to bring his gift of the sounds of love.
Hi, thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for having me on your summit. It's been really wonderful. I know most of you who are on the summit, and it's really lovely to listen to what you do and your specific gifts that you bring in more detail, and to really understand what it is that you do. You know, we see each other when we're doing our activities, and yeah, it's really great to be able to hear in more detail. So yeah, the gift that I'd like to bring this evening is one of music. And yeah, so I haven't been that dialed into the moon these days because I've been held up in the studio without any light, like a rat in a cage. But you know, so they just bring me out on special occasions, and this seems to be one. So, but I'd like to, jokes aside, I'd like to honor our sister moon tonight, being full moon and there's an eclipse, and I have a song called that honors the moon and the moon's energy, and yeah, so I'm going to play it for you. Sister moon, sister moon, sister moon, won't you carry our prayers to the highest height? Sister moon, shine your light. Shine your light on our hearts as you carry our prayers to the highest height. Singing, hey, ane, 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 eskawata kaya we, hey, ane, 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 eskawata kaya we, yeah. Sister moon, as you wax, as you wane, won't you carry our prayers to the highest height? Yeah, yeah. We pray for peace, we bring our presence. We pray for love in our hearts as you carry our prayers to the highest height. Singing, hey, ane, 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 eskawata kaya we. Hey, ane, 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 eskawata kaya we. La luna, yeah, luna kare watane, Care watane la luna, cosmico de sagres la luna. La luna ye, luna kare watane, la luna, cósmico de sagres la luna, singing ane, 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 ya eskawata kaya we, ya ane, 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 ya eskawata kaya we, ya. Sister moon, on your celestial light, carry our prayers to the highest height. Sister moon, on the beams of your light, carry our prayers to the highest height. Singing, hey, ane, 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 eskawata kaya we. Hey, ane, 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 eskawata kaya we. Blessings. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll be listening to the rest of your talks and see you a little bit later for another song.
Thanks, Krellin. I was swinging and swaying with you there. Thank you so much for your beautiful medicine of song. Really, really wonderful to have you interspersing our talks with your wonderful voice. Thank you so much to that. And now, next up, a dear sister of mine who is one of the founders of Community of Spirit, along with a few others of us, Tessa Ashbury. I love you, my sister, and I'm looking forward to hearing about the medicine of dreams. I know how powerful your medicine is too. So over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taz, and hello everybody, good evening. Thank you to Michelle Reed and to this platform of Community of Spirit for the invitation to share my topic with you tonight. And I'll be speaking about medicine of dreams. And I speak not from a place of symbology with the dream work, but more so from my personal experience with working with dreams as an ally over the years, and truly seeing how healing and a deeper awareness and understanding is birthed from the work in the dream world. And at the end of this talk, I shall share with you some tips on how you can remember your dreams better and how you can consciously start working in the dream space to affect changes in your waking reality. So we can look at our waking life as a tip of the iceberg, and what lies below the surface is the dream space. And on average, a person who does not suffer from insomnia, of course, dreams between 4 to 6 times a night. So that essentially is a third of our lifetime spent in the dream space. So the fantasies of the night, which we term dreams, and the blankness of the mind in between them, which we term slumber, must surely have an important place in the divine scheme of things in nature. Now, the process of dreaming possesses a magic and mystery of its own, as some dreams are deeply symbolic and others are a mishmash of all sorts. And then there are those that the spiritual narratives across the world speak of how we are closer to the divine in our dreams than in any other state of consciousness. In some mysterious manner, the mind carries on a subterranean sort of activity during the night, and in this land, the deeper layer of the mind beneath the threshold of conscious thinking is a source of incredible inspirations and information. And for example, some mathematicians, musicians, scientists, inventors, composers have all reported that they have received inspiration directly from the dream space. Incredible solutions and deep intuitions and compositions have emerged from dreams. So, how do we learn to work in the land of dreams so that it's not only just a repeat of events in our waking state? And can this actually effect change in our life? So allow me to share a personal experience with you here. Now, since childhood, I have always woken up from sleep with the memory of dreams, and it's always intrigued me, and it's always brought a sense of wonder, curiosity, and magic to my life. And I remember initially drawing little figures of what showed up in my dream space, and then starting to jot down little things that I remembered in my childhood diaries, and that then grew on to become specific dream journals as I grew into a young adult. And in my early adulthood, I realized that whenever I visited my childhood home in my dreams, it was a place of fear and shadow and violence. So it was not that the dreams were repeated, but the environment was repeated. And then one night I found myself in that exact hallways of my childhood home, and I looked down at my hands and I became aware of where I was standing, and I could hear the short, anxious, agitated breaths of my sleeping self echoing throughout the home. And I realized that I was conscious in my dream. And that's when I made the decision to actually explore all facets of that childhood home, to really look into those things that were creating fear, the demons, the fearful memories entwined with fantasies and the shadows. And I proceeded to do some housekeeping. And once I was satisfied, after I'd done all that work, I then left my childhood home because I realized I was in the childhood home of my mind. And once I'd done all that work and I left my childhood home and I closed the door and I turned around and I looked back through a window and I could see what was transpiring there, and I could see my childhood self, and I saw only light there, a light that was born out of a deeper awareness and understanding, which had created a space for love to enter there and to continue to exist there. And when I woke from that dream the next day, I felt a tangible shift in my family constellation and in my family relationships. And to this day, and this dream was more than 2.5 decades ago, and to this day I often dream of my childhood home and I often visit there, but it remains to be a sanctuary of love. A sanctuary of love born out of a deeper understanding and awareness. And this was my first experience with lucid dreaming, and it has since become a valuable tool in orchestrating deeper level of healing over the years for me. Now, my intrigue and interest in dreams as medicine deepened, as did a waking practice of meditation, shamanic work, and ceremonial activity. And it was here that I discovered that the deeper I retreated into the heart center, the dreams that appeared would exert a profound influence in the shaping of an attitude in my waking life. So, in conclusion, I leave you with this. There may exist a part of the mind which seems unconscious to us, but which really has an extraordinary and marvelous consciousness of its own. And if we engage regularly and tune into this frequency of a higher self, of a God self during our waking state, during our waking reality, there is an opportunity to receive clear messages during our dream state, which is beyond world materiality, and events which keep us distracted, which keep us chained during this conditioned state. So as you embark upon your journey of engaging consciously with your dream world through regular exercises and practices, you may initially notice that your inner world, your dream state, will be affected by what is transpiring on your outside, your outer world. And as you move along, you'll soon start to discover that your waking reality, your outside world, will start to be affected and respond to your dream space. And there is potential in all of us to one day get to that place where the inside world and the outside world has become one. And this is which the great mystics traditionally express as where the mirror has been polished or cleaned of dreams, so that the state where the outside is reflected from the inside, it's without distortion and only oneness prevails. And perhaps this is the place where we truly wake. So where to begin? So some tips I have for you, which have certainly supported me and others over the years with remembering your dreams and then moving on to consciously working with your dreams. And dreaming lucidly is a completely different thing, but I'll share with you how to first start with in remembering your dreams. So be aware of what information you harness in your waking reality. There is so much out there, and pay attention to where you cast your awareness, because all of that rests in the folds of your mind, and you take that to bed with you at night. So be selective. Secondly is adopt a meditative practice that suits you. You can either have a seated one or a walking meditation. What's important is that you have it in your daily routine. Thirdly is be aware of your vices. Now, you know if you are consciously working with and engaging with the substance and when it's become a crutch. And so take it out of your life for a short while and see if this affects your ability to recall and remember your dreams. Keep a dream journal and keep it right next to your bed. I keep mine in my bed for the simple reason that when you wake up from a dream, it's important to limit your sensory input. So in that period of waking up from your dream, to just sit with it for a little bit and then just jot down key features. I do it in the dark, and that just comes with practice. Just key features of the dream. If there are numbers that come in, if there's something you'd quickly like to scribble or illustrate, just put that down in your journal immediately. That is not the time for you to do an in-depth analysis of your dream or go into symbology or anything like that. Just write down the key features, because if it's in the middle of the night, you may very well go back to sleep. And then during the course of the next day, that's when those key features could become a link and start triggering a memory of what else transpired in that dream. And that's the opportunity for you to then truly savor the dream and to reflect upon it. Now, the period just before you fall asleep at night is a potent little portal. So in that period, that's when you set your intention. If there's something that you wish to explore further, if there's something that you need some support on, that is when you paint it on the canvas of your mind, and you paint it with photographic imagery and detail. Now, I offer card readings to the community, and as an accompaniment to those card readings, I offer a dream as well. So that is the time where I paint the imagery, the characteristics of the person that I'm doing the reading for. Perhaps something has come up in the reading and I put it on the canvas of my mind, and a dream always drops in for that person. So I know that this does work. And when you are seeding your intention, it is very important to express gratitude in that moment, and to set your intention with confidence that you will receive and that you will connect. And when you wake from a dream, it's very important to just allow yourself the time to digest it, to truly digest it, to not to try and attach too much story to it, to just let it settle in and to record it. And lastly, if you need support, if you're finding that you're struggling to get into the flow or the practice of working with your dreams, start a dream circle. It's very powerful, because then you start working with others in the community, and when we gather in circle, we share our dreams and we witness how dreams direct our attention to a deeply shared common humanity. Now, nature teaches everyone through dreams that we have in miniature the same creative potential and capacity as the original higher mind of creation. We are co-creators. So remember that. Thank you for your time. Much love and sweet dreams.
Around exactly that test was around gentleness, that the frequency and vibration of gentleness. It's something that I found was a gift of mine in ceremony. You know, I've been to lots of circles and to lots of plant ceremony circles over the last few years. And I found it was a real gift of my being to be able to access these frequencies of kindness. And in lots of ways, I wanted to get to share that in community in a way. So what's been really nice today is it's almost been like a ceremony for me the last few weeks, to be honest. It's from the time Michelle kindly mentioned or extended the invitation, it was very much for me, the process had started. So I want to thank all the speakers that are such good friends. And I think, Tessa, really thank you for your friendship and fellowship, which I think is one of the things that have been really are very sacred and special about this particular group, is exactly that. And what I was becoming very aware of was the fact that this friendship and fellowship was exactly what we are living it in a sense. And what for me has really stood out is the fact that is the diversity that we all bring, and how each of us is honored in that, the diversity that we bring. I think that's exactly the celebration of diversity, and unity in diversity is exactly what speaking into the change that we want to see in our communities. I mean, one of the things that was even coming to me earlier today was that here we are here, as a collective consciousness of we, where there is no separation. So all the issues around power, where it's power with, as we start to go out into the world, how we are in a sacred circle in a sense, where everyone is included in conversation, be it in our families or the spaces we come together around. I mean, one of the things that was really evident to me was what makes us different is the fact that it's on Zoom, is that we're all in our homes or in spaces that are where we very precious to us. And we hold these secrets, we really have anchored our frequency and vibration in a way. Part of my thing for around community was very much, why do we live where we live? Especially in this collective pause that we've had, where you would have been having the medicine that you were experiencing, and it's unique to all of us. I mean, that's each household, each home, each space would have been exactly unique. So then you start to understand that even once a single street is so unique and sacred in its own way in every community. So these are very, very simple things to acknowledge, but then you start to, from the time you wake up in each moment, you start to enter into custodianship, where it's whether you own a place or you rent or you, however you get to be somewhere, is that it's not a property, it's you on land, that it's ground that is sacred. So it kind of shifts everything in a way, where you, from the time you're waking up, you have a sense that you are connected into everything. Life's not happening to you, it's happening through you and for you. You are in relationship to everything in every moment. And Tanya's going to love this, because I've been dying to say this to her for ages. She'll say, what are you doing? She wants to chase me around the house. Well, I'm just connecting in with everything, you know, as we all are. So what I really wanted to speak into then now was what's happened for me in our, just to give you some context, I live in Welcome Glen. So for years I was very involved with Dean Laprini and just being supportive and being very aware of the sort of sacred sites and the space that we live in. And what I was really looking to do was to bring these frequencies and vibration into the communities that I lived in and cared about. And the way that I found to do that was through community markets, because you find that communities need a space to express themselves. Places like hospitals and clinics are essentially reflections of the woundedness of those communities. You can see False Bay Hospital, when you go there and you go there, you'll see it's representative of the whole of the Southern Peninsula. So when the gardens start happening next door from neighborhood farms, and you see the same emerging in the Ocean View communities, you start to have a real sense that things are starting to shift in the most beautiful way, in the most subtle way. So one of the, with community markets, you really have a sense that you really are connecting into those communities. And it was nice for Robin to introduce the elements of inclusiveness. One thing that you're finding in our local communities, especially around tourism, is that you're now going to have to be quite inclusive with international travel not being here, and places having priced themselves out in a way, because it's that's just how the paradigm we were in at the time. But now when you start to see that, it's just magical in a way. In the space of the communities that I live in, the conversations before, I've always been aware that neighborhood watches, just by definition, are it's not community care. So what's happened in this pause that we've been in is that in our community in Welcome Glen, it's become exactly that. It's been community care. We've established who's the most vulnerable. We're getting to feed them. So it's shifted on its own. It just literally has shifted, and there's no way of going back. It's so quite quickly the farmhouse that has lain dormant is now suddenly opened up. An application we put in is people are really wanting to get that involved in it and see it happening now as a community place for us to all come together. And Welcome Glen, we don't have a space like that. So it's almost as if the farmhouse itself was saying, now that you're playing nicely, you are welcome. And it's actually called Welcome Farm. funny enough, in Welcome Glen. So one of the things that as well is was always important to me at markets was to make them inclusive. All are welcome here. And I think one of the conversation, what it brings up in all of us is that there's also parts of ourselves that we, all are welcome as a big invitation. So just on Saturday, I was walking to Fishhook with Tanya, and we just happened to walk past someone that was on the Fishhook boardwalk. And we just got there just after, and he'd run past everyone and run into the sea. It seems to try and take his life, and obviously there were quite a few families present, and lots of different people stopped to take care of him. And that's another thing, is to take care rather than to give care. I think there's all these things to consider in the language that we use. So just in that moment with that guy there, I mean, I had the gift in that was, and partly because through the whole feeding scheme, and we're quite aware with Pastor Shady and Feed Our Valley and Nadia at Groundbreakers that they're obviously, as part of our community well-being and healing and communities of kindness is going to be, well, what happens to guys like this when you really do need these healing centers of kindness in communities, which really just start to address these things, and for me, we start to see these spaces like Sacred Harvest, for example, which is doing such amazing work. And there's places like Soil for Life, which are around schools. We sing at Waldorf, Imhoffeld, lots of places, funny enough, the way we do markets. One of the most amazing things that I've seen with markets is that it takes a village to raise a child thing, is that the women that come to markets, often it's the only time that they get to really relax because their kids are happy playing. One of the youngest market goers we had was like, and lots of unschooling and all sorts of learning taking place, and just very experiential. And you get to have a real sense of community with community markets, is when everyone is just playing. The dogs are running because dogs are essentially pack animals. They're as happy for the freedom as everyone else there. So kids are happy, they're playing, moms are getting to chat and catch up. Everyone gets to energetically have a sense that everyone is well. You can inquire if someone's not there, same as farmers markets would have worked back in the day. If someone didn't turn up, you knew you'd go and check on them. So these are very simple, effective ways for us to take care of each other or give care to each other. And I think one of these today, what's really come through is around that being gentle. That it can be in the most subtle ways. Even by not wearing shoes, you start to see how not wearing shoes, what that brings up in other people, and just socially, where you start to grow your hair out. It's this natural, this wildness, and just how used to we are of imposing things on us. It's a bit like fashion and hairdressing are going through a bit of a thing now, because I think it's just time for a pause on that, where it's actually more about the expression of your uniqueness and authenticity. And if they can help bring that out in you, it's a very different conversation than every 6 months imposing stuff on you that comes up and happens to come out in a magazine. So it has been medicine for these times. I think everyone in this process, we've been taking our medicine. It's been such a privilege to, I think one of the main things for me in this group is around we are all equal. And I think when you start to have a sense of that energetically in all aspects, it's such a leveler in terms of we are all equal in terms of we are equal from the center in the sense of creator and source. So today was really a celebration for me, and it really is such a privilege to be able to share today, and especially I thank you for your attention and your presence, because I think we're starting to understand the value of that, and the value and worth in all of us. So thank you for your beautiful beings. Thank you so much. Oh.
Wow, Conway, thank you so much. Yes, I know that I can speak from the space of living in Scarborough, of how in the last 3 months, our eco group that I belong to has actually got food boxes up and running at the community centre, and we're all involved with other communities around us that are less fortunate in helping them grow food. So I'm incredibly grateful for the pause that we've had, for us to be able to have reached out, and for us to start becoming self-sustaining and having other communities also become self-sustaining, and that the markets are part and parcel of that because they can bring themselves to that. So Conway, thank you so much for your blessing of your words. The next beautiful shining soul that we have tonight is Blessed Annika Nicole, who will be presenting presence. Thank you so much. I'm handing over to you now.
Hello, everyone. Very lovely to be part of this summit. Really enjoying the topics tonight. So I'm thinking about this topic. I decided that instead of speaking for 15 minutes and telling you what presence is, to make these 15 minutes invitation into presence and to do it quite experientially. So let's start with a short meditation, inviting you all to close your eyes. Inviting you to bring your attention into yourself, into your body, and to feel your breath. Feel the sensation of breathing. And then on the out breath, connect with a sense of gravity, sense of downward pull as we breathe out, so that you feel the ground beneath you. Feel your bum on the seat, your sit bones. Just sinking into the ground, relaxing your body as much as possible in this moment. And then I'd like you to identify the place in your body that feels at the moment most comforting. Maybe the place that feels easiest to connect with. It could be your breath. It could be the sense of gravity and ground beneath you. It might be your hands. It might be a sense of contact, warmth between the fingers. It might be a sense of your belly, breathing into the belly. So just find the aspect of your body that feels easiest to connect with, to be present with in this moment. A part of your body that can be an anchor for you in these 15 minutes. And then very gently coming back into the space, opening your eyes. And my invitation is that you keep a connection with this anchor during this presentation, that you keep coming back to that aspect of your body as you listen to me. So I think it's so easy in this world for most of us to get lost in the other or our work or our cell phone and forget to just simply be present. So I invite you to try and keep 50% of your attention in your own body as you listen to me. And that might feel hard, and you might find that you lose yourself, but inviting you to keep coming back to a sense of yourself, your body in this moment as I speak. So presence, many of us know it as mindfulness. These two words are synonyms. For me, it means the capacity to be in the present moment, to have my attention right here. And for me, it feels, or it means, an intimacy with myself. Can I, in this moment, be aware of how my body feels as I sit here? Can I listen to myself speaking, hear my own voice? Can I feel how it feels to be presenting right now? Can I notice thoughts pop up? So the capacity to be intimate with myself in this moment is what I would call presence. And I think in this society, we live in our heads. Most of us live our lives most of the day in our heads, quite cut off from our bodies and hearts. It feels to me these practices of presence or mindfulness really is an invitation to almost go down and into our experiences as opposed to up and out. I feel like when I'm stuck in my mind, I'm sort of up and out of my body often. But when I can bring my attention down and in, then it feels like I'm here. I can feel my feet. I'm just simply present. I often think of my teacher in Europe and sitting with him on many retreats. Before any silent meditation, he would give only one instruction, only one sentence. He always said that over many years. And the instruction was, can you let yourself be exactly as you are? Can you let yourself be exactly as you are? That's such a profound statement. Because if I can be in this moment, simply with what's happening, not fighting myself, then I'm free. Then there's actually nothing that holds me. Yeah, it's like our human tendency is constantly to fight our experience or to hold on to our experience. Most of us, I include myself, really struggle to just simply open and relax into what is happening right now in this moment. It's like if I feel grief and sadness in my body, and there's a mind story going on, which I often see people around me that I shouldn't feel sad, or it's not right to feel sad, or why am I feeling sad? And I fight the experience, then actually I'm stuck. I've put a prison around myself. And it's almost like the suffering becomes double or triple. I actually think all suffering human beings experience are related to our relationship with experience. Because life just happens. Feelings happen like waves on the ocean. It's constantly body sensations and feelings and thoughts, and they're just constantly arising and dying away. And I don't think we can control these waves. But it does feel like we have a choice in the way we relate with our experiences. Because the moment we fight it or we cling on to it, we're trapped. We're in a prison of our minds often. It's usually our minds are geared to have certain patterns or judgments around what we feel, around our immediate experiences. So yeah, my invitation is really, can we meet our experiences with a quality of heart? Connecting with Conway, kindness. Can we meet ourselves, and of course the other, but for now speaking about ourselves, can we meet ourselves in this moment with a quality of kindness, gentleness, acceptance? Can we meet maybe a contraction with a sense of warmth even a sense of sweetness. One of my teachers says, can I meet this experience with a slow smile, which I find quite beautiful. Can I just notice what's here and smile? Maybe even being curious. Okay, this is here again, this feeling or this thought pattern. Okay, what's that about? And how can I meet this experience with an attitude of kindness and care, maybe even love? Because I find the moments that I'm able to do that, where I can, let's go back to a sense of grief, when I maybe feel a deep sense of grief or sadness, if I'm able to just relax into the experience, not do anything with it, actually, I can just being with the experience and in a sense soften my arms and my hands around it, not fight it, not cling to it as a story. When I just relax, then I always feel an incredible sense of spaciousness, co-arising with the vulnerability or the contraction, and a sense of just simply being free, simply surrendering to the flow of life, not fighting it. So yeah, that's really my invitation, I think, with this talk is, can we be really aware of the way we relate with our experiences and cultivate quality of heartfulness in the way we meet these experiences. Yeah, I think one of the most helpful things over the last 20 years of practicing these practices of mindfulness has been to really observe my thoughts and to start catching myself when I get stuck in thought patterns of anxiety, fear of the future, running into some scary movie of the future that's not real, of course. When I get stuck in some judgmental, doubting myself thought pattern, the capacity to sort of catch myself and see, okay, there I go. I'm in my anxious thought pattern, my judgmental thought pattern. And in a sense, in the seeing it, creating a space between myself and these thoughts has been tremendously freeing. Because when I can see my thoughts, I don't have to be stuck in it. I don't have to be glued in it. I can actually choose to step off that and feel my body, feel my feet, feel my breath. Yeah, so it feels like these practices give us choice in the way we relate with experiences. So I think a very important question for all of us is, what can support me to be more present in my life? And I can only answer that personally, but I think it's good for all of us to explore that. But I know what supports me is to slow down the pace of my life, to create every day pockets of stillness, pockets of just doing nothing, just being. I think in my work as a psychotherapist, that's very helpful because I start every hour with 10 minutes meditation, and that really grounds me, maybe even more than the client. But I know I need that as a way of just staying present. And then for me, nature, being out in nature is very grounding. When I walk or climb a mountain, just listen to the birds, it brings me here. It supports me to just simply be present. And I think for me, moving my body helps a lot. To go for walks, to dance, do a lot of conscious dancing. That's like in the movement, I can really feel myself and be present. And then the other thing is really singing and music. Some of the workshops I sometimes offer, I don't know if you've attended it, is sort of mindfulness and voice. Can we really be present in our voices as we speak, as we sing, as we sound? And for me to connect with my voice really helps me to be present. So I hope you all still connect to your anchors. I plan to remind you, now I forgot. So what I wanted to end with is actually a chant, a very simple chant that I'll sing through. But the idea with the chant is that you really listen to the sound of your own voice as you sing it, and use the chant and the sound as a way of connecting in the present moment, to the present moment. And the chant is very simple. It's a prayer for well-being, which feels so appropriate for these times. And the words are, may I be well, may I be at peace, may I be free. May you be well, be at peace, be free. And may we be well, be at peace, be free. And the we for me is extending our prayer to the world, to everyone, so many suffering beings, to the earth, Pachamama. So that we end this presentation with a prayer for well-being for ourselves, each other, but then also the world. So I'll sing it through. The melody repeats 3 times. And then after that, we'll do it all together. So this is how it goes. May I be well. May I be well. May I have peace. May I be free. May you be well. May you be well. May you have peace. May you be free. Then the same melody for we. So inviting you all to close your eyes, and we'll sing this melody 3 times through and then end with a humming. So the 4th time will just be simply humming. And my invitation is really to use this chant to be present in your own body, to feel the sound of your voice vibrating through your cells, through your bones. And at the same time, a prayer for well-being for yourself and the world. So, yeah, inviting you not to get your mind involved. You don't have to get the melody or the words right. It doesn't matter. It's about simply being present in your own body, your own heart, as you open your voice and sing. Okay, so let's start. May I be well. May I be well. May I have peace. May I be free. May you be well. May you be well. May you have peace. May you be free. May we be well. May we be well. May we have peace. May we be free. Just take a moment to feel the sound vibrating through your whole body. Breathing deeply. And then gently opening your eyes, coming back into the space. Thank you, everybody. Lovely to share with you. I wish you well.
Thank you, Annika, for the invitation to be here now. I really deeply appreciated your check in, because from my perspective, I have the thoughts of anxiety for being the co-host, and those thoughts are not going to to help me at all. So thank you for bringing me back to the presence of myself, which is all that is. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. We're now going to have Kralin bringing his medicine songs into our space again. So let's everybody just welcome this magnificent man that's bringing his sacred voice and using his medicine so beautifully. Kralin, over to you.
Is it now?
Oh, it is. Great. Unmute.
Thank you, Tas. I appreciate that. It's been so wonderful to listen to everybody again in this last little installment. Yeah, so wonderful. And yeah, the centering was really good. I'd like to share the song with you. It's called Heal As You Are, As You Are. The song reminds me that, you know, because the lyrics go, through the earth we heal as we are the earth. Eskawata kayawe, kayawai kiki. And yeah, it just reminds us that we are, you know, we're made of the same stuff. And the healing that we achieve and that we bring in our own lives serves to transform the whole world. Yeah, and the words Eskawata Kayawe mean to transform. That's the language of the Huni Queen from the Amazon, from the rainforest. And it's a phrase that I learned during working with them in ceremony and working with the plant medicines. And it's a beautiful phrase because you know, it refers to the transformation that we receive and that we achieve through the work that we do, through all of these modalities and all of these instruments that we use. So yeah, the song goes like this. Through the earth we heal, as we are the earth. Yeah, Eskawata Kayawe, Kayawai Kiki. Through the earth we heal, as we are the earth. Yeah, Eskawata Kayawe, Kayawai Kiki. Through the mountain we heal, as we are the mountain. Yeah, Eskawata Kayawe, Kayawai Kiki. Through the trees we heal, as we are the trees. Wow, Eskawata Kayawe, Kayawai Kiki. Healing, we are healing. Wow, Eskawata Kayawe, Kayawai Kiki. Healing, we are healing. Kura kura, Eskawata Kayawe. Through the water we heal, as we are the water. Wow, Eskawata Kayawe, Kayawai Kiki. Through the water we heal, as we are the water. Yeah, Eskawata Kayawe, Kayawai Kiki. Through the ocean we heal, as we are the ocean. Yeah, Eskawata Kayawe, Kayawai Kiki. Through the rivers we heal, as we are the river. Wow, let's go at the kaya way kiki, yeah. Healing, we are healing, wow. Let's go at the kaya way kiki, healing, we are healing, wow. Let's go at the kaya way. Through each other we heal, as we are each other. Wow. Let's go at the kaya way kiki. Through each other we heal, as we are each other. Wow. Let's go at the kaya way kiki. Through our children we heal, as we are our children. Yeah, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Through our parents we heal, as we are our parents. Yeah, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Yeah. Healing, we are healing. Yeah, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Healing, kura, we are healing. Kura, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Through the sun we heal, as we are the sun. Yeah, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Through the sun we heal, as we are the sun. Yeah, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Yeah, through the moon we heal, as we are the moon. Yeah, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Through the eagle we heal, as we are the eagle. Yeah, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Yeah. Healing, we are healing. Wow, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Yeah. Healing, kura, we are healing. Kura, let's go at the kaya way kiki. Blessings. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for having me on this beautiful summit. And I hope that the songs have been uplifting and that they've served their purpose. Yeah, blessings on your paths and blessings on your families. And I hope to see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Oh, Krellin, that was amazing. Thank you so much. It was tapping and swaying and singing along here as well. Thank you. That was extremely uplifting. Love it. Love it. Thank you for bringing your beautiful medicine in. Next up is Ruth Earhart. A peace on earth begins at birth. I want to say that any child that is birthed into this world and assisted into this world by Ruth is a blessed one. So I'm going to be listening in anticipation with what you have to say, Ruth. So I'm going to leave it to you now to enlighten us what peace on earth begins at birth.
Sure, Tess. That's quite an introduction and quite an introduction to live up to. Thank you. Yeah, so just to introduce myself, so I'm Ruth, and first and foremost, I'm the mother of 4 children who were all born at home and who were their births, and my path as their mother has been the biggest teacher of all in terms of the work that I do today. So I need to honor that and introduce myself. And then in terms of the work that I do, I carry the title of midwife and traditional birth attendant. And I am honored, deeply honored, to be able to be allowed to walk alongside families as their child grows inside the womb, and to be present as that baby is birthed, and to also be part of the first 40 days after the birth, which is also a very holy and special time period. And I would say the reason I'm called to do this work is because I really believe very strongly that how we are born and how we birth affects who we are on this planet, and affects society as a whole. If we look at how birth has become in the world, you'll see that as society progressed, that birth has become much more and more ritualized. And what has started to happen is that there's definitely much more segregation and separation that takes place, especially between mother and child at the moment of birth. And what I try to do in my work is to maintain as much as possible that mother-baby dyad. And it really begins when the baby is in the womb. And I think we sometimes forget as a society that we have a responsibility towards pregnant people and unborn babies to create an environment which makes it ready for them to be born into. The world is not a very mother-friendly, pregnancy-friendly, breastfeeding, child-friendly environment. It's very heady, it's very masculine, it's very fast-paced. It doesn't allow much time for softness and for crying and leaking breasts and and bleeding. And so in my work, I try as much as possible to make space for that. But why peace on earth begins at birth? So an interesting fact about pregnancy and birth is that when we give birth, and when we're pregnant, it already begins, the labor, the surges, the contractions are actually produced by the love hormone oxytocin. And so it's actually a very interesting fact that it's actually love that brings the baby into this world. And so what I try to do in my work already in pregnancy is to start to plant or water those seeds of love and joy and happiness and nurturing and caring in the pregnancy, so that those receptors in a way are ready when the mother goes into labor. So an antenatal checkup, sure, has medical aspects to it, checking blood pressure, urine, all of that kind of thing, but it's very much about making sure that the mother feels fulfilled and happy and cared for and nurtured and also connected to her baby. It's very important as a caregiver to make a woman laugh in pregnancy, and our responsibility as people who interact with pregnant people is to be mindful of that. Someone who is pregnant is actually wide open. Those of you who've been pregnant before remember those early days of nausea, and that's got a lot to do with just like the massive shift that's happening in your body hormonally and physically, but it's also, there's definitely a spiritual opening that's taking place and a vulnerability that's taking place. So we're much more susceptible and open to the negative comments that come our way. And what tends to happen is that people share their negative birth stories and how scary birth is. And whereas we don't actually, as pregnant people or even young women growing up, get to hear about the beauty and the empowering aspect of birth. So that's a big part of, I would say, a layer of support that we as a community or as a society can just be mindful of when interacting with pregnant people. This hormone, oxytocin, the love hormone, is the hormone we release when we are making love, when we're happy. It's the hormone that is released when, as I said earlier, the mother is birthing the baby. It's actually what creates the contractions. And it's also the hormone the mother releases when she is breastfeeding, when the letdown reflex of the milk is coming down. It's the hormone we release when we're feeling very connected and we're having an intense, beautiful conversation with somebody. It's a conversation, it's the hormone we release when we are eating delicious food. So it really brings that sense of well-being and happiness and joy. And interestingly enough, a mother releases the most oxytocin that any human being ever releases in their entire life at the moment of birth, the moment the baby is born. And if she's left undisturbed, and if the process is left uninterrupted, she releases this massive surge of oxytocin, and that's what connects her to her baby and makes her fall in love with her baby and bonds her to her baby. It has a physiological purpose as well, in that it contracts the uteruses and releases the afterbirth, but mostly the role that it plays is that it connects her and creates that bond. And what it does for the baby, who's just been in this absolute safe container of the womb, and then come into the physical world experiencing gravity for the first time, experiencing sound outside of the muffling of the womb, experiencing smells, experiencing taste, breathing for the first time, what that surge of oxytocin does, and the arms of the mother and the smell of the breast, which interestingly enough actually emits the same smell as amniotic fluid. So it's a very familiar smell for the baby. What it does for the baby is bring a real sense of belonging. And so the transition for the baby into the mother's arms is actually a very gentle one, and brings an imprint into that baby's psyche and being of I'm loved and I belong, which is very different from having your cord cut and being taken away and measured and handled by strange hands and then returned to your mother. It's a very, very different imprint that we're giving. So going back to labor and birth, what's important for this hormone, oxytocin, when a mother goes into labor are various factors. So oxytocin is quite a shy hormone. It tends to hide away, and so it's very important for those of us who are attending births. So if you are ever in the place of to be able to do that, the first aspect is the feeling of safety. And I love the image of how elephants give birth, which is that when the female elephant goes into labor, what the other female elephants do is they create a circle around her of safety, and they actually turn their backs towards her and face outwards. So they're not observing her, they're facing outwards and making sure that she is safe, and creating this absolute circle of safety for her to be able to just let go and birth her baby. And we as human mammals are exactly the same. I mean, we need to also create a space of safety for ourselves. And you'll notice that human mammals, in a similar way to cats and dogs and other pets that we've had, will go and scuttle away and actually find often the tiniest, darkest little room to go and birth in. Another aspect of oxytocin is the needing to leave the thinking brain switched off. So what sets us apart from other human mammals, from other mammals, is the fact that we have this highly developed thinking brain, and it's often what actually gets in the way of our birthing process, of us being able to emit oxytocin effectively in labor. And so there are various ways that we can switch, or we can assist in helping to switch that off. So one of them is to shut up, not to talk too much to a woman in labor. And that can be like sort of well-meaning, encouraging words, but it can also be asking questions like, how long have you been in labor for, and when did your waters break, all of that kind of thing. To just be aware that when we engage in language with somebody in labor, we're stimulating their neocortex, and we could actually be hindering the labor process. So silence is very important. Darkness and low lighting. So we often hear about, having candles at a home birth, and it kind of gives this romantic idea, but it's also actually physiological. Most women go into labor in the middle of the night. And that's, I think, because their neocortex is switched off, they're feeling safe, they're feeling warm in their bed. But interestingly enough, we also have melatonin receptors on our wombs. And so oxytocin actually has this relationship, this dance with melatonin, with darkness, that actually assists in being able to release oxytocin effectively. Warmth is another one. When we're feeling cold, it switches our brains on, and we're trying to think about how to be warm and comfortable. And so it's important to create an environment that's warm. Observation. So feeling observed is also makes it difficult for us to be able to just go into ourselves and birth our babies. And they're two very good examples that drive this point home, because birth requires a very similar environment to making love or going to the toilet. Neither of those are really possible with somebody looking at you and staring at you and telling you what to do. So if you were trying to have your morning bowel movement and somebody was standing over you, clicking their pen and writing notes and guiding you through the process, the chances of you being able to actually make a poo are next to nothing. And similarly with lovemaking, if somebody was standing over you and trying to guide you through the process, the chances of you achieving orgasm are also very low. So it's best to keep eyes low, eyes averted when somebody is in labor, to really just keep low profile. I love the image of kind of pretending that you're a cat at a birth, to just be in the corner quietly and to be present, to be holding space, but not to be like a dog in your face panting. And then last is the sense of adrenaline. And this is something that and it ties very much into what Annika was speaking about, that sense of presence, to just be very, very aware of what we bring to the birth in how we are. So on the way to birth, just allowing yourself to be present and to leave behind what you need to leave behind at the door of the birth. And that's past births, that's needing to sort your children out. It's just anything that's going on in your life, to leave that at the door and to really walk into the birthing space as present as possible. As caregivers, we always wash our hands when we arrive at the birth, but it's also a beautiful opportunity to wash away what we bring with us to the birth, and to really allow ourselves to arrive and be present, and to just allow yourself to be soft and to be aware of any adrenaline and anxiety that could be coming up in you when you are present at a birth. The only person who is allowed to lose it at a birth is the laboring woman. Anybody else needs to actually be that circle of elephants. And if my circle of elephants was worrying and chatting amongst each other about what was going on and texting people and all of that kind of thing, then I, as the laboring person, wouldn't be able to drop into myself. So to just be aware as the people holding space that our job is to be that circle of elephants, to be grounded and calm. And and then what happens is that eventually the baby is born, because nature is actually a perfect design. The body knows how to birth babies, and babies know how to be born. I'm going to just finish up by showing you my book. This is a book I've written called The Basic Needs of a Woman in Labor. It's been translated into 13 different languages. It is available in South Africa on Loot and otherwise internationally on Amazon as a paperback and a Kindle download. Yeah, thank you for letting me share a little bit about my work and what I do and how I do it, and blessings, all of you.
Ruth, I've always wanted to be in some sort of medicine space with you. I never thought it was going to be virtual. So thank you so much, because we always seem to miss each other. Thank you so much for your wonderful explanation of peace on earth begins at birth. And I reiterate that anybody that is going through any kind of birthing process, Ruth is amazing. She is a wonderful human being to be part of the community that I live in. So thank you for bringing that. Our last and final medicine woman that is presenting tonight is Valentina Lear, Mrs. Love. She'll be taking us through making love to the unknown. Thank you for bringing this to us tonight, Valentina.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Wow, I feel so honored to put the ribbon in this beautiful parcel, this present. Since many of us, we speak about presence, it's the gift of being alive. It's to be really the present of life force coming forth. So I'm gonna share with you my medicine, what I take to keep me alive and entranced and enhanced and seduced by life. And I use the medicine of traditional Tantra that look at reality with such freedom and such liberation. And to understand these pieces, to understand that we are already free. This is how we begin this meditation of life. And we don't see it because we maybe are confused. But that freedom and peace and harmony and love are all qualities that already exist within me in this moment. And I don't have to go out of me and look for them in places that are other than within me. And so I just thought, I haven't checked the time I start. So Tass, give me a sign maybe when I'm over my 15 minutes. And I love this because I'm here to teach you about the timelessness and eternity, but I have to do it within 5 minutes, 15 minutes. So this way, life is a game, it's playful. And so I want to play you some music so that while I'm talking, maybe you want to move with me a little bit into what I'm telling you. That's why I've got this theme, making love with the unknown. The present time is unknown, not even the future. We think the future is unknown. The present is unknown, because if I knew it, it's the past already. So in virtue of its presence, it's unknown. And it's for me to enter with every breath into this unknown that surrounds me as an entity, space, it's conscious. So I really want to invite you, especially now if you listen to all the talk, there's been a lot of information coming to the brain. And so I want to invite you to move your mind. In the tantric tradition, we understand that the mind sits through the body. This is my mind. The tip of my finger, my nails growing, my joints, my long, free spine. And please, you can also let me know in the chat if you can't hear me clearly, if the music is overpowering. And taking few breaths, allowing the sound to penetrate you. And so to make love with the unknown is to allow myself to be penetrated by my own surrender. Yeah, these two words that apparently are polar opposite. Penetrated by my own surrender. Surrendering that I know anything, that I know it all. Surrendering to the fact that I have to control and manage life. And life does very well without a manager. And surrendering to the fact there is anything to be fixed. Imagine this, you can do it with me right now. Your eyes closed. Let your body undulate like the rest of reality. All in life is movement. So join in, join the cosmic endless orgasm that is already happening. Join into the movement. It's not something we're going to have to make happen. Awakening is not something that we do. We do the awakening. I'm practicing awakening. Awakening is doing me. When I stop wanting to be the one doing it, when I let the awakening penetrate my surrender. Deep breath. Every time we exhale, we relax the mind. And so in difficult time, when we feel like I've been having this image lately of the rug pulled from under my feet, this idea that I have a plan about life, that I know how things are gonna be moving, that I know what's right and wrong, that I'm very strongly opinionated about something, and then an event happens and it feels like someone is pulling the rug off my feet. And when that happens, I fall backwards. Yeah, imagine yourself. You can imagine yourself. You're standing in your knowing, in the belief of who you are, in the plan you have for your life. And someone pulled the rug. And when they pull the rug, is the falling backward. And I know, I observe sometimes in my falling, it's so hard to let go. So I'm grabbing for anything that is familiar, that I know, that can pull me out of this falling in the absolute unknown. Because when someone pulls the rug, all my structure goes up in the air. All the files I was holding about the agreement of my life, agreement for the house, the bank, the relationship, the job, like all this paper flying into the sky. And the holding for dear life is something I can relate to, I can control, so that I'll know again who I am and what I'm doing here. And the invitation from the tradition I'm deeply in love with, which is Kashmir Tantrism, is the wisdom of the yoginis. The yoginis dance freely naked in the sky. And so the wisdom that they bring me is when I fall backward with the rug pulled under my feet, instead of falling, I can consider perhaps to float. And instead of grabbing, pull myself back onto the train I thought I was onto, that I let go completely and I fall backward. And you can do this with me right now. Fall backward onto your sitting bones, backward onto your throne. Someone called the sitting bones the throne, your own throne. So fall backward and your quindom will hold you. And the feet fly in the sky like an astronaut in space, and letting reality to catch me from behind. This is the surrender. And that perhaps the awakening force of life can finally express through me as me, this flavor that we call myself. It can be a fascinating wonderment for me even to discover the truth moving as me, through me, by me, for me, with me. Go ahead and breathe all the emotion, the movement, the truth you've received. And let this throat to really become the organ of truth that it is. Not the truth I think I know and I need to share with you, but the truth that wants to move through me and use me as an instrument, like a musical instrument. And then I am the one completely surrendered, being penetrated by the wonderment of all which I cannot know with my mind. All which is a living truth that is moving through me. That's why we call Tantrism a living philosophy, because it lives, it has to live through the human expression. It's not something we can just speak about. And so it's really important we do the practices. The practice of moving with life at all time. Ruth spoke about being birthed, and I often invite my students when we do this practice of continuous flowing movement to remember when we were floating into amniotic liquid. And there was no up or down, or front or back, but just this oneness supported me with liquid care. And the head can rest back, finally held. It does not need to know it all. You just have to know that it is in this moment, present. And so time begins to expand from the inside out, from the constitution of every single cell in your body, filled up with water, which is filled up with empty space. And then I becoming that astronaut in the sky that doesn't need to know which one is the head, which one is the way I head, because my way, it's always. And me, like the cosmos, I'm expanding always. And the expression of my love happen always, all direction. So please go ahead and breathe with the back of your body. Breathe with the soft skin underneath your armpits. Be vulnerable in the meeting with this moment. Be in surrender, in the love making of time, penetrating space, present, penetrating my eternity, my humanity, penetrating endlessness, infinity, unlimitedness, which is my essential nature. And I can't see any of you, so I don't know if you're moving with me. Because the things I say, you can really only understand them if you're moving the body. They direct to the wisdom of your body mind. The wisdom of every single cell, the wisdom of your heart beating, your lungs breathing, which are the true carrier of truth. When we surrender, we can let that wisdom make love to me and penetrate my intelligence, penetrate my dreams, penetrate my human expression as the lover, the one that first and foremost always make love. And then your teacher become the event in your life, the people in your life, your children, your noisy neighbors, the people that triggers you the most, because the teacher become awakening awareness. And that happens in the love making. When the moment penetrates me from every single cell in my body, I get filled with luminous awakening awareness. And that's the one I take instruction from, the lover. And then after being a lover in that way, I express in all my other forms. And in the traditional teaching, we are taught that this is the only reason why we are alive, is to be a lover of expanding awareness, so that the lover can meet the beloved within. And so these are medicine for this time, but for all time. I think everybody shared beautiful medicine for all time. Because when we are really present in this moment, we are drinking from the nectar of immortality. We are in the center of timelessness. And eternity is at our fingertip. And eternity has the shape of your human heart, throbbing to be fully intimate with yourself. Medicine for all time. And I think this is my time. It is. Thank you so much. I bless you in this moment of eternity, dancing, awakening awareness. Thank you for being with me and listening. I love you.
Oh, wow. What a lovely way to end this beautiful medicine evening. Thank you, Valentina. That was exquisite. I'm actually going to tune into that once it's up on our YouTube page. Just to round off the evening, our next summit is on the 12th of July. If you'd like to join us then. And we also have our previous 2 summits on YouTube as well as on our page. So if you're joining us for the first time this evening, go and have a look at what we have actually offered before. I'd like to end the evening off with a poem that I've written, and we will also pay homage to the elements that have been present, and to release them into the world and to send you blessings. I wrote this poem a couple of years ago. When I write poetry, it arrives in a download more than anything else. And I'm actually going to be publishing a poem with illustrations at the end of the year, collaborating with Dr. Ziz, Jana Lazarus. So let's listen. It's called Recipe for Beginning, which is a lovely way to end our evening. Take 7 directions and blend them with an oak wand in a clay bowl that has been made of your hands. Stir, feel, see the heat of rising sun whooshing to a world with fire and noon, tempered by water and swimming in the mix to set it in stone with rattles and shaking your bones. Take this all to bed with you. Make love to them with all of you. Dream of trees limbs shooting out of your ears and eyes. Root deeply. Hear the sound of the earth. Be the silent eyes of the mountain rooted, with ages of knowing and the rumble of the deep earth's core. Lie upon the beach, limp, with the water lapping you, lifting you with each surge, deeper, higher, into sun's flame, while the sky watches, the center of you, watching and washing magic in. Awaken to bake this all into words that can feed the world. Nourish, walk with light visible on your heels. Don't ascend yet. There is too much to tell. And that's what we've all been saying tonight. We've been nourishing. And each of us that is listening and that has spoken has walked with light visible around them. And we won't ascend yet. There is too much to tell. So thank you so much for your attention this evening and for being with us. And if we can bring ourselves into the presence of the stillness of closing the evening with homage to the elements. Great Spirit, Mother, Father, God, all that is, universal being. Us, I am, you are. We are present here in this moment of receiving love and gentleness and kindness, and that we may bathe in the words of the wisdom shared by our beautiful medicine women and men. And with the songs that have been shared, may they weave around us. We now give thanks to the divine masculine and feminine within us, and to the center of us that has been present. And we thank our ancestors and the standing ones and the old nations and the stone nation of the mountains that are rumbling. We give homage and thanks to the presence of water that is within our bodies, and like air we cannot do without. And we thank you for the introspection and the deep diving that we may go further as we re-listen to these words. And we give thanks to fire for the community that we share all around the world, and that we are able to connect with one another in these times like this. And we give deep thanks to all that brings new beginnings as we live through these changing times and bring our love and our goodness and the trueness of who we are. And that is pure love and pure kindness. Thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. And thank you to each and every one of these beautiful, blessed beings that brought their medicine for these times this evening. I love you all so much. Stay tuned for the next one. Go well. Stay blessed. Big love to all of you. Good night.